Different types of contemporary art. Painting. Painting have one side of the spectrum of abstraction and the other side of representational. Today, both types of painting, or a combination of both, are contemporary and highly relevant. Think of Gerhard Richter, who switches from pure abstraction to photorealistic paintings, or the implementation of old master techniques in an utmost contemporary manner. With painting, one works on a two-dimensional surface using a wet substance. This substance is most often paint, acrylic or oils, and is commonly applied on cotton or linen canvas, a wooden panel or on a copper/metal plate. However, today we have also painters such as Anselm Kiefer who paint with metal or incorporate found objects, defying the boundaries of painting with sculpture. Sculpture. Sculpture is a three-dimensional art form most often being practiced by using marble, wood, copper, or bronze. Today, these traditional materials remain the most used by contemporary sculptors. However, with recent technological developments there are more possibilities as new materials and techniques are used by contemporary artists due to their continuous quest of experiment and new paths to wander. As a result, one may encounter sculptures made of plexiglass, fiberglass, epoxy, wax, steel, or sometimes even electronic and kinetic devices. As with painting, the sculptor can opt to make representational sculptures such as the renowned Jeff Koons sculptures, see image below, for instance his balloon dogs or the giant heads by Mark Manders. Also, in contemporary sculpture, there is a subcategory of hyperrealism in which they recreate human figures as if they were actual human beings. On the other hand, we have abstract sculpture such as the minimalist Donald Judd sculptures of cubical forms, the abstract steel sculptures of Frank Stella, or the sculptural mirrors by Anish Kapoor, to name a few. Drawing. Art starts with drawing. An age-old saying with a very strong ground of truth. Art begins where the artist makes a mark with his pencil on paper. It is the foundation of one's visual education. Ever since modernism has freed art from academic conventions, this notion of drawing as the foundation of the artist's trait has shifted slightly, as it is no longer common an artist needs to be a highly trained draftsman. One might argue this is a negative tendency and reduces the practice of drawing to a trivial occupation. However, the opposite seems to be true. With modernism and up to today in a postmodern era, drawing has conquered its own place among the art forms. A drawing was often seen as a less valuable artwork in relation to painting or sculpture, as it was often just a step in the process of the creation of artworks or a part of the education of the artist. Today, it is an art form in situ as contemporary artists dedicate their life and career to the medium of drawing. Please think of the impressive oeuvre of Rinus van de Velde and his monumental charcoal drawings, based upon studio installations, see image at the right. Printmaking. Wood carvings, followed by engravings, etchings, and lithography made it possible to produce multiples of artworks which resulted in a grand distribution of images functioning as a catalyst and xenogamy for art. Up to this day printmaking has been an important art category when it comes to the distribution of images in art. Due to the fact printmaking offers multiple items, prices are lower and collectors can acquire works of artists whom are out of reach when it comes to the price range. Collage. Collage is the artistic act of making an assemblage of different forms, materials, or images. It has been an artistic practice in Europe since around the 1500s, but was never seen as a proper art form. However, with the arrival of modern art, collage as an art form flourished throughout the 20th century. Think of art movements such as Cubism, Dadaism, or Surrealism, in which collage was implemented into high art. As a result, collage has become an important type of contemporary art. Today, there are more collage artists than ever before. Collage has in fact become one of the most common practices when it comes to building an image. In a postmodern era where appropriation plays a considerable role, collage is an essential strategy to construct a new image by borrowing second-hand material. Digital art. Digital art is contemporary art that uses the methods of mass production via digital media. It has had an enormous impact, not only on painting and drawing, but also sculpture, music, and video. We find digital art in advertising, websites, logos, brochures, roadside billboards, illustrations, books, comics, and websites, 3D models, movies, animations, and video games, and digital photo artwork, advertisements and posters. Photography. Further, there is the art form of photography. When referring to photography as an art form, one commonly speaks of fine art photography. Ever since the medium's invention, the notion of photography as a form of visual art has been present. The photographer became an artist. Today, photography is omnipresent in the art world. Further, many performance artists depend on photography to capture their art and freeze it in time and space. Video art. A similar story can be told when it comes to videography. Artists have been interested in moving images since its genesis, experimenting with film and video. Today, video art is one of the most practiced types of art among multidisciplinary artists. There are the genuine video artists, whose practice exclusively consists of art through film. The video is a work of art, and the director is the artist. Installation art. Up next, we have installation art. Strongly associated with the art movement of conceptual art, installation artworks are three-dimensional works of art, existing of one or more objects in a space or as the space in situ. Installation art can be seen as the contemporary type of sculpture in which various materials are used in an unconventional manner, distinguishing itself from the traditional sculpture. Today, installation art is one of the most practiced types of contemporary art. Land art. Land art or earth art is art that is made directly in the landscape, sculpting the land itself into earthworks or making structures in the landscape using natural materials such as rocks or twigs. Land art was part of the wider conceptual art movement in the 1960s and 1970s. The most famous land artwork is Robert Smithson's Spiral Jetty of 1970, an earthwork built out into the Great Salt Lake in the USA. Intervention art. Like land art, with intervention art, the artist makes an intervention in a specific environment. Whereas with land art, the intervention occurs in a landscape or natural environment, public, intervention art takes place in an urban setting. By making an intervention, large or small, the artist makes the inhabitant of the era aware of its own environment. Think of Christo and Jean-Claude's wrapped buildings, bridges, sculptures, and even islands. See image at the right. Performance art. We conclude with the final type of contemporary art, performance art. Performance art emerged in the 60s and 70s and is a dominant art form up to this day. With performance art, there is no object. Instead, a happening is the artwork itself. Performance art is marked by its temporary character and is strongly linked with the performing arts, such as theater and dance. The artist acts as a choreographer or as the performer. Thank you for watching and listening. God bless.